my people, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in for this video. Mad love if you have, mad appreciation if you have as well. But we'll be breaking down Marco Rose's 4-2-2 system at RB Leipzig. I know some of you have been requesting this for a little while, and I'm here to deliver it to you. So moving on to the formation now, of course, it's a 4-2-2 system. I've made no changes whatsoever to it. So it's 1 goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 2 DMs, 2 attacking midfielders, and then, of course, 2 strikers. So with the tactical vision set to custom, I think it best replicates the 4-2-2 system in its natural elements of what you're trying to do with it and how you're trying to exploit the opposition. So I don't really think any of the other tactical visions can really replicate an effective 4-2-2 system, especially not the one that RB Leipzig are trying to replicate. As for the defensive style, of course, the counter-pressing system that they do look to implement more times, not the very aggressive way of dealing with the opposition when they do lose the ball. Obviously, it's set to press after possession loss. The team width is set to 40, of course. It's a bit of a mix between a zonal approach as well as a man-to-man approach, but of course, they will look to try and get into those wide areas, try and prevent those crosses being fired into the box. Of course, you do have Gulashi and 2 really good centre-backs in Lukeba and Simikin, as well as Klosterman and Orban, if they are put into the side, that are very capable of dealing with those crosses. Now, obviously, with a slightly wider spread backline, it does allow the opposition to try and exploit it with those passes in between the lines and whatnot, but you do have very capable DMs of making sure that they are breaking up the play in front of the back line. So with the depth, it is set to 80, so it does help in and out of possession. Of course, when you do lose the ball and turn it over to the opposition, you do have quite a lot of players high up the field waiting and ready to implement that quick counter press to try and win the ball back very effectively. Of course, it does help that you are playing a high line with the system. Of course, most Bundesliga teams do play a very high line as it is, but like I say, it does help you on the offensive side of things. As for the offense, speaking of which, the builder player is set to balance. Now, this does allow you to incorporate the long ball approach or potentially the fast build-up, but in certain moments, especially when the likes of Leipzig are playing against a low block side, they do look to try and build up quite slowly from the back with the goalkeeper, with the short passes being played to the centre-backs and the full-backs, and then they build the play up from there. So you do want to try and incorporate all 3 aspects into your offensive system going forward, and more or less a balanced play does do so. For the chance creation, I've set it to direct passing. The likes of Openda as well as Poulsen or Werner, if you are playing either or, they look to try and make those runs in behind, as well as your number 10s, the likes of Baumgartner or the likes of Olmo, will consistently look to try and make those runs in behind as well, looking to try and put pressure on the opposition's back line, as well as the likes of Xavi Simons. I almost forgot about the up-and-coming superstar. The width is set to 20, which makes it a very compact and narrow attacking system. Of course, it does open up a lot of space down either flank for your fullback to try and work into. Of course, they'll be very, very important to your attacking outlet for the side when moving the ball and progressing it forward. But of course, naturally, you will have a lot of men more compact in the central areas of the field, so I suggest with those overloads, you use it to try and exploit the opposition with. As for the players in the box, I've set it to 7. Now, more or less, it will be your 2 strikers and one of your number 10s, if not both of your number 10s at times. And if it's not, it will definitely be one of your number 6s that do sometimes tend to get forward in certain areas. As for the corners and the free kicks, as per always, I have set it to 4. So starting off at the back with the instructions of your goalkeeper, of course, being a sweeper keeper is essential. It's not always required, especially for this RB team. They don't always look for the goalkeeper to play out from the back and make something happen from the back, but it is a requirement that if he is under pressure, he does have the sense to be able to play out and find a pass to one of the centre-backs or one of the midfielders if required. But more times than not, he does tend to play those quick, short passes to either the fullbacks or the centre-backs. As for the saving on crosses, I've gone with it set to cautious. He does tend to stay on his line a bit more, as well as be a bit more aggressive with making sure that he is making those saves, opposed to coming for the crosses, claiming them, and alleviating the stress and the pressure on the back line. Speaking of which, your back line, Simikin and Lukeba, they are set to their basis of instructions. Of course, you don't really need to change too much with your centre-backs. And I will say this, both of them are fairly decent with playing out from the back, having the ability to whip in those long balls into the forward line. Yes, definitely. But also having the sense to be able to play under pressure. They are very good at doing so. Onto your fullbacks now, very important. This role for this side, of course, providing a lot of the width down each flank, the left or the right. So we'll start with David Rahm. Of course, he's here to join the attack, overlap, as well as stick to position for the defensive positioning. Now, for this, you do want him to try and supply those crosses, those cutback opportunities, as well as those early crosses into the forwards, trying to exploit the opposition, trying to get the best of the opposition with that ball out wide. As you can see for the likes of Henriks, as well as Klosterman can play in this right back role. He's also set to join the attack, overlap, as well as stick to position. And of course, interceptions is set to normal. Into your midfield now, we've got the likes of Hidaria as well as Schlager. We'll start off with Schlager, more of the number 6 of the two. Does tend to stay quite deep, sweep up, be a bit more aggressive with the opposition and their offense, trying to break it up as quick and as best as possible. So for him, he is set to be a bit more zonal with his defensive behavior, cut passing lanes, intercept and break up play. Stay back while attacking is essential, especially because you do have 2 bombing on fullbacks. You want your number 6s to stay back as much as possible and try and protect the back 2. For the interceptions, I've set it to aggressive, meaning he will try and chase down the ball and make it very hard for the opposition to try and play through the lines. And then for the positioning freedom and the defensive positioning, it's to cover the center and of course stick to position. For the likes of Hidaria, a very similar role. You could say the only real difference is the defensive behavior. It's a balanced approach, so he will try and keep his structure and the formation. Of course, you have the likes of Schlager doing a lot of the cutting up and trying to intercept passes and whatnot. So you want at least one of your number 6s to remain structurally sound and integral to the system as a whole. Onto your 2 number 10s now. Both of them have the same set of instructions. Both Simons and Olmo are going to both be able to choose whether they want to come back on defense or stay forward. So it's a bit of a give and take situation. But both of them will try and work their way into the box as well as have a free roam role. Obviously popping up in those little half spaces, looking to try and create for the forwards or maybe your wider fullbacks. Sorry, I had a bit of a moment. But maybe one of your fullbacks who are making that run down either flank, they will look to try and create for them. But also, obviously, with the free roam role, it does open them up for more passes to be fired into them, as well as it allows them to try and draw the opposition out of specific areas. So if you are against a low blocker and maybe they're playing a bit more of a man-to-man system, having this role for both of your number 10s does help you in the long run because it will inevitably suck out one of the opposition players. As for the interceptions, I've set it to aggressive, and this does help with the counter-pressing system that RB Leipzig try and implement in every single game. As for the likes of Simons, as you can see here, he has got the same set of instructions as well. Now, moving on to your forward line, we've got the likes of Poulsen and Openda. Now, I would say the role that Openda has will be the same role that Timo Werner has. So if you can, make that like-for-like swap more times than not, opposed to the likes of Poulsen for Werner. So for the likes of Openda, he's said to having a balance with, so choosing whether he can stay central or drift wide. I mean, the other day in the Champions League, when I know they lost 3-2, but Openda was very, very good at having the ability to drift into that wider channel, implement that quick style of aggressive pressing, win the ball back, and then progress the ball forward. And more times than not, he was very successful with it. So more or less, that's what you're hoping for with the support run set to balanced. As for the attacking run, so he is very quick, lightning quick in fact, and this is also why I say Timo Werner has this role locked down as well. So getting it behind is essential. Aggressive interceptions is an obvious must with the counter-pressing system that you are looking to try and implement. And then finally, for the defensive support, giving him the option of dropping deeper and picking up the ball at a deeper rate, or potentially staying up the field and being a bit more of an outlet ball for the counter-attack is essential. As for the likes of Poulsen now, of course, a bit more of an out-and-out strong physical number 9, but again, the support runs is set to balance, so choosing whether he can drift into those wider channels or potentially stay a bit more central. Of course, being a target man is essential for this system. I think having at least one of your strikers be a bit more physically dominant is quite good. Of course, having the ability to back into the opposition, link up a bit more with a Openda or your 2 number 10s, it does help the offense rotate quite well. The interceptions is set to aggressive, and of course, for the defensive support, you want him to be able to drop off the backline, suck players out, open up a bit more space for the likes of Werner or Openda, whoever you have, and then obviously be able to provide a bit more of an offensive platform to build up off of. So yes, people, that is my version of Marco Rose's 4-2-2 system with RB Leipzig. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. The road to 4K is absolutely on. But out of 10, of course, the rating system, out of 10, I would give this system a 9. I think defensively wise, you are a bit exploited at the back because you have so much attacking out there going forward. But in terms of the attack, it's a lot of fun. You have all these plays in and around. You have the free rolls of the number 10s. The offensive fluidity is there, and it's a lot of fun for you to use in your career mode. So that's why a 9 is suitable and not exactly a 10. If it was more defensively structured and sound, which is kind of hard, obviously it's a give and take system, I would definitely give this a 10, but of course it's a 9. Anyway guys, have a damn great day. I'm out.